What it do? What it do? I am I am really still doing this. Wow. All right. Um Welcome peeps, high level nerd channel, fellow gamer, fellow cosplayer, fellow nerd. Um yes, we are really going through these Halloween slash Michael Myers movies. Um and this is really getting to that point where these movies are gonna get a little more modern, even though this one was still in the 90s. Um, of course, I'm talking about Halloween H20. I don't know who came up with that name. I mean I mean I get it. Halloween, the initial, then 20 because 20 years after the first one, but like I mean, you just see H2O and you're like, water? And you're like, Halloween water? Like, what? Is it going to take place in a lake? Um, which wouldn't be far off because the director of this one is Steve Miner, who directed his first movies that he directed were Friday the 13th movies. So, not the first one. I think he did like part two or three or whatever, but those were his first movies, which I'm assuming they were like, oh, we got the dude who did Jason to do a Halloween movie. So, let's do that. But this one, I mean, this is 20 years after the first one. Donald Pleasance has passed away. Rest in peace. But we still get him back in an intro, a nice intro of him, of the monologue of him from the first movie. The first, like, they did so many. In this movie, because it's 20 years, I don't think they did so much tribute in the first, referring to the first one in the 10-year anniversary, because I think that one was like Halloween 5, I think, to like when they showed like Jamie for the first time. But this one, and that's the thing, this movie tries to erase most of that. They want to be like, all the stuff that happened with Jamie never happened. It, that, like, and that's coming from uh 4, 5, and 6. So this movie is taking place right after the second one, which is the last time we see Laurie Strode because we get her back, aka Jamie Lee Curtis, which I'm pretty sure all the hype was for this movie. They were like, Halloween's back in a late '90s era, um, and 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 they're like, we got to pay a lot of homage to the first one because it's the 20-year anniversary. 20 years, that's a long time. I mean, wait till you see that 30-year anniversary one. um, but yeah, they wanted to pay a lot of homage with this one, but with a more prepared Jamie, because we get her so, and I said Jamie, but I was talking about Jamie Lee Curtis, but Laurie Strode, because the thing is, they don't even call her Laurie. Like, this Laurie, we saw her in the first one. She was so innocent, and then she kind of like was somewhat becoming a little strong towards the end of that one, and then by the second one, she was she was mostly doing her best to stay away from Michael, considering how weak she was throughout most of that movie. But yeah, she was, and now this is literally 20 years after those events, and she's had clearly she's had time. So yeah, we're dealing with a more prepared Lori. She's taken all the precautions, and even though you know it's Halloween, it's a Mike Myers movie, so no matter all the precautions you're gonna take, you're gonna be like, how is Michael gonna get through this? How is he gonna get through all of these things? And the thing is, we are dealing with a more complicated Michael Myers. We are dealing with a literally boogeyman, as how they call him. I don't think anyone called him in this movie. No, surprisingly, no one called him the boogeyman. The first one, I think, no one actually called him the boogeyman, and they didn't really refer to him as mostly a serial killer this time. Um, Considering everyone did believe Michael died in that fire, the explosion from the second one. So you were to believe that this version of Michael Myers can't even come back, but he does. And and the thing is, it's 20 years. So all the ever since that time, he never made an appearance. And all of a sudden, because I guess Laurie was managed to stay off the radar. Um, but but the thing is, she was still. I mean, I understand those were horrific events that happened to her. She said all her friends died, which I guess was like what four, for like four friends. I guess. I mean, if you count the two girls that were friends, they're boyfriends, I guess. Um, Wait, actually, one of them, her other boyfriend didn't die. So yeah, three. Yeah, she lost like three friends. Um, so yeah, but Lori clearly had PTSD from those events, and but yeah, she took all the precautions now because now this, I mean, it doesn't take place in Haddonfield. I don't know. I don't think they really said where it takes place. I could have looked it up, but it's clearly not in Haddonfield. She's clearly wants to be away from there. Although it does seem somewhat like Ohio. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm bad with locations like that. Um, but yeah, and not even that, but now she's a headmaster of a school. I don't know how she got. Well, she was always kind of smart, so. But then, yeah, she's a headmaster, so of a school, of like a private school, basically. And they got gates, they got security guard, one security guard, and yeah, and she feels like it's safe enough that if Michael's ever came back, there's no way he could get to her. And and later on, we find out that she keeps a gun underneath her pillow because that's safe and necessary for her, especially with someone with PTSD, which she could accidentally shoot somebody, but she doesn't. Although her boyfriend, I guess, does shoot someone. Ella, poor Ella Cool J. Unfortunately, he does not die. He manages to survive. I mean, something about him and surviving these horror movies is like a thing because, I mean, there was that Deep Blue Sea incident, and then my man just can't die. um, but yeah, and yeah, Lori has that boyfriend, whatever. He's like a councilman, I guess, of the school. Not so much teachers they show in this school, I guess. I mean, they show a couple, whatever, but it's like it's weird. Like they have like these dorms, and like even the councilman came in the girls' room, and it was like it looked like their regular bedroom, and I'm just like, this is like I don't know. I never seen a school like that. Maybe I don't know how private schools are, with like teachers just barging in, students' dorms rooms and stuff, and I'm just like, I mean, maybe probably not. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, this whole movie it takes place in this school. Lori, and that's the thing. Lori now has a son in this movie. That's how you know. They're like, we tried a daughter. Was it? Yeah, Jamie. Yeah, we were like, we tried a daughter, didn't work. Let's try a son. And this time, let's make him older. 18th birthday or whatever, 17th. Um, which is funny because I think that was like, Lori's the time when Michaels came after her, and yeah, and then of course he was part of the new teen group, which is very chill, very simple teenage group, very chill. None of them were very like assholes type like previous Halloween movies, so they're pretty cool. But I guess it doesn't really show much about these characters. You don't really feel for them too much, other than Laurie's son and his girlfriend, um, Michelle. Yeah, Michelle Williams. Uh, she played Molly, which is dope because there was one scene when she was in the classroom and Michael's obviously outside, and they're recreating the thing from the first one when Laurie was in the classroom, and then and unfortunately, and the funny thing is that Laurie was the teacher at the moment, so she was like talking to her, and she was like, she looked away, and then when she looked back outside, and the thing when she asked her a question, she answered back so smart, like she knew the answer, and she was just so smart about it, and it was the same way that Laurie answered back too, because Laurie, when the teacher called on Laurie, she answered back so like, yeah, this is the answer, and and the teacher was like, yeah, you're right, and Molly was like that too. They're like, oh yeah, she's just as smart as Laurie, and yeah, her boyfriend, which is Laurie's son, um, Josh Josh Hartnett, yes, uh, he's done a lot of things. This is like his first role, I think, in probably anything. So, which is fun because I don't know if Jamie Lee Curtis was like Halloween was like her first one, but I'm pretty sure that was like her beginning. So this was like his beginning too. So they're like, I get what they try to do with this movie. Like, let's get these type of actors to try to get that same feel from the first one, recreate certain scenes in a new area. It's very, they pay a lot of homage in good ways. They try to give you that feel. The music was there. It gave you that feel of the horror feeling. I didn't talk so much about Michael yet. Michael, good. I liked Michael. He was good. The way he moved, all that. I still get so iffy about the mask sometimes. And this mask was like, it's funny. It looked a little more rubberish, which is like whatever. I mean, his movements, the way he was walked around, the way he killed these people. I'm just like, this Michael is much more, and he's clever. It's the movie starts off, and the thing is, this movie has big celebrities. I mean, I mentioned it had LL Cool J before, but it also has Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which I don't know. This, I mean, yeah, I mean, 30 Rock from, coming off probably from 30 Rock from the Sun or something, but yeah, I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, starts off with him, and he clearly, you think you're like, oh man, like he's gonna die. Like Michael comes after him, and it's like, yeah, he gets him. Good. They don't show it, but they show what Michael does to him, and it is crazy. Along with his buddy, and yeah, and the thing is, Michael is more of like not basically Michael Myers is like a detective in this one because he kind of like he like finds out where Laurie is. Like he tracks down this doctor who was obsessed with like everything, and then I guess she knew where Laurie was, so he took that information and he had a car and he was driving around and he like staked out Laurie's school and all this, and he picked his timing. Um, yeah, you had you had the feeling that Michael was always there, but they never showed his body, and it was a good way of them doing that, as if the camera was like his eyes, and you are Michael, and you're seeing things through his eyes, and I really like that because it's like you really see it like coming from him. It's not so much, which is a shame because I would like to see more of his body around. Always have that feeling of his body in the presence or in the background. Something about that always like freaked you out to the max. And yeah, that's that's the best bit. Michael finds a way. He gets in. He he moves quick. There's one point where Laurie's son and his girlfriend Molly, Laurie's son, which is John, by the way. Um, John and Molly, like, they run away from Michael at one point, and Michael just like you see them one point where like Michael walks. Like how did like clearly when they're now looking, he's running somewhere on like in a back alley somewhere, but like they run away from him, and at one point he jumps down in front of them. And I'm just like Jesus, like where? Wow. That's that's the terror of Michael Myers, and he did it so good. And there's so many moments where it's like a close call, and you see previous Halloween movies and you're like, oh, Michael killed everybody. But this one actually has some survivors. I should have said this in the beginning. I should have said this in the beginning of these videos that I've been making, actually, that all of these videos contain spoilers of the movie. Who dies, which is basically almost everybody. How Michael dies, because God always say that. Which this one he actually does. I mean, after all the running, the chasing, Lori trying to like hide her identity, even when she felt like she had to tell somebody, her boyfriend, whatever, she had to tell him, which is surprisingly, at first he almost wasn't sure about it, but then he really did believe her. And it's funny because most times you would see something like that, this their partner or whatever normally wouldn't believe them, but you know he was very open to it. He was like, I'm into it, like. but but the thing is, this movie also has like, it tries to create like some sort of like unfinished business that Michael wants to kill, Lori again and her son now. And it's weird that even Michael couldn't even find her for all this time. Like how many Halloweens have went by and Michael's probably like, I missed another Halloween. I didn't kill her. Now I gotta wait till next year because I can't do it during Christmas. I'm just like, you never know. Michael Myers could think like that, but you know, the movie's good. They really, went through it smoothly. Not so much like the other ones where they did some crazy shit. Which I'm starting to think on some of those scores, especially the last one with the curse. I think I gave that a high score. I don't remember what I gave it, but all I know now is that I feel like it was definitely not a 6 or higher. So I'm gonna say that one was a 6, whatever I gave that last movie, because reviewing it in my head, I'm just like, okay, yeah, it was rough. Especially seeing this one, I'm like, this was so much more better. It's a shame we didn't get Don Plumsby. We got his intro voice. It was great seeing Jamie Lee Curtis back in a different way, because we were not getting that same Jamie Lee Curtis from the first movie. We were not getting from those first two. We were not getting that Jamie Lee Curtis, that innocent little girl, that babysitter. We were not getting that. We were getting a mother, a protector, you know, a freaking badass person, because she had a gun on her. I don't think she ever used it. And every time Michael showed up and you want to look at him quicker, you want to get him, he's gone. But and Lori, she did not hesitate on anything on Michael. She did not want to like take any chance with him, because I was like, I had to end up getting him down. And the thing is, the kills, like I said, the kills were alright. They were crazy. Like, you were invested too much with the teens. And the thing is, there was like a trip that got all the students out of there, other than the regular teens that wanted to stay and have their own party. There was a trip that got all the students out of there, and you're just like, oh my god, imagine if all these kids were in here when Michael just wanted to show up. Like, imagine, like, this movie, it was, it was rated R. But if you want to make it a hard R, let those kids stay in that school and Michael just go to town on those kids. Or at least whoever gets in his way. He wouldn't have to see all those kids, but whoever gets in his way. Like, and of course, as soon as one of the kids notices a dead body, they'll scream and alert everybody. But like, the killings, the body count, other than the friends, not so much. Yeah, I mean, you see LL Cool J get shot by another dude, and that was even worked by Michael, and then he doesn't even end up dying. He survived, so that would have been a no useless kill if he did die. But that is what it is. The way this movie was shot was just very good. You know, um, there was a quote in this. I think I liked it when they did a lot of references to the first movie, and there was a quote that they said in this movie when someone scared Lori. I think it was another teacher or whatever. And she says, everyone is entitled to a good scare, to one good scare. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. And that is what they said on the first Halloween. And then Laurie's obviously like, I had my fair share. And I just would have been like, never say that to me again. I get PTSD, alright? Last person that said that to me, Michael Myers went on a freaking rampage on my friends. You don't say that line to me. But it's funny that she said that because I think that comes again in future Halloween movies. We'll see about that. But yeah, that's a really good thing that they add, and they didn't want to OD on it. But and the thing is, they added the good parts. They added the good parts that reference good moments from that first movie. They could have done a lot of other things, but you know, they nitpicked the good parts. So of course, the writers were obviously John Carpenter and Deborah Hill back again, along with Robert Zappia. I'm really hoping I'm saying that right. Robert Zappia. Yeah, it's always John Carpenter and Deborah Hill and one other new writer, which I'm assuming that writer is probably the main writer. I want to assume it's the main writer, and John Carpenter and Deborah Hill have been, giving in their ideas, giving in their thoughts to this one writer, because every other movie has always been John Carpenter and Deborah Hill along with one new writer. And I don't really check what the writers do. I'll leave that up to you. I mean, it's good enough I tell you the director and stuff, but I'm here to tell you mostly about what I think of the movie, not so much what I know. I've done that in other ones, but um, because this movie is really good. I wanted to say like it's good, even though it takes place in just a school. It's a big school, It's a really big school apparently. Kind of reminds me of Matt from Call of Duty. But yeah. I mean, Laurie's that like we get a new Laurie. Like last time we saw her was in that second one, and everyone was to believe Michaels was dead. No one saw him as, like I said before, as a serial killer. We didn't really get, other than of course we got the Don Pleasant line in the beginning, because I was gonna say we didn't really get that monologue of how evil Michael is, or the evil entity that is Michael. But yeah, we got that in the beginning by Donald Pleasant's voice. Yeah, and it was so good to hear that right off in the beginning, because that was always the best part for me of these movies. Donald Pleasance, or at least the person who knows how dangerous Michael is, the person who knows that he is not a man, that he is the entity of evil. And I felt like Laurie filled that role, because her son played the role, and his girlfriend were like playing the roles of like Laurie when she was that kid. So Laurie was filling up that role of basically Dr. Loomis. Although, and yeah, she wasn't really a doctor, so much a headmaster. Um, but yeah, she filled that role. She knew how dangerous Michael was. She knew she not so much to reason with this Michael, but so much as to end this tragedy. You know, and I'm assuming, since the other movies never happened, that Dr. Loomis died in that fire, because it made sense. Not that I didn't appreciate Dr. Loomis in other ones. That's what the other Halloween movies could, you know, that's the only way I could bear those movies, with Dr. Loomis's presence in that movie. But the thing is, like, I'm just losing. I just lost my train of thought a little bit. Um, yeah, Lori filling the role of Dr. Loomis. Cause yeah, she was filling that role. She knew how dangerous he is. She wasn't trying to help him. She was trying to kill him, which she did, and she succeeded. Because even when all was done, when he knocked him down, or I think when he shot him, I think whatever, and she let her, she told her son and Molly to go get help, which is also familiar like the first one. Only when she was not a babysitter doing it to, like, Tommy and the other girl. She was doing it to her son and his girlfriend, and I never realized that. But I feel like, I don't know if that's like a homage to the first one. But she's like, "Oh, go get help," and then they come back with the help, and And yeah, and then we they put the body in a body bag, put it in the ambulance. But that does not stop her. That does not mean that she's like, oh, it's over. She knows. She's thinking like the rest of us, like, yo, it is not over. He does not die. He can't die. At least not you, unless you do it right. So she took that car and she. And that thing, we get this Halloween movie where it ends for Michael here. It has to. Like it was a weird moment, almost like how it was a weird moment that Jamie, Jamie, Lori and Michael had a moment where they were like staring at each other because she pinned him down with a tree in a car, like a car accident happened or some bullshit, whatever. And yeah, he's like, take my hand. He doesn't say that, but And in this thing, sometimes you see the eyes, sometimes you don't. I like it when you kind of do a little bit, but when you do that whole darkness thing, it kind of like, I mean, unless you do it right or at least with a better mask, but it's more or less okay with me. But yeah, and then you see his eyes, and then she's like, you know what, no. And then she has like an axe and just chops his head off, which I'm sure everyone will be like, yeah. But the thing is, it ends right after that. It plays the classic music. We also get the classic Sandman music. Mr. Sandman, bring me, whatever. I don't know how to really sing it, but yes, we get that from the classic first one, and this one. That's a lot of good home and that music, which I always said I never understood why, but yeah, we got that. And then, and what I was saying before, now remember with Donald Pleasance, aka Dr. Sam Loomis, that he died in the fire in the second one. Like I said, not that it was pointless to have him in the other one, because I love those. That's why I buried it with, but it made sense that he died in that second one in that explosion because no one could survive that except Michael Myers, of course. Which his mask should have been more damaged from that, but it wasn't. But whatever, but he'll have to do with the do. Anyways, I loved all of it. It's a shame that Dr. Loomis. It's weird that Lori had all this information about her, and she always referenced Michael as her brother, which was the first that she was like, "Oh, he's my brother. He's out to kill me now." That's how she was like, "It's my brother." But she never met Dr. Loomis, so maybe I mean, with all this time in between, she clearly did all the research, but she never really met Dr. Loomis that much. Like, she never really like I mean, yeah, she never really interfered with Dr. Loomis that much that they had she just knew that he was his doctor basically. But it's good. It's good. I love the movie. This movie that I rate Halloween H20, and I want to be now more specific with my rating because this one was good. I know previous ones I gave high ratings, and I loved it for Michael. This one, Michael, not like there wasn't the body count wasn't high, but him moving out there, him being out there swinging that knife, being more smarter Michael, driving, finding where Lori was, all this. It wasn't so much of a Michael I'm used to, but the rest of it was good. Like, you know, the thing with Lori, you know what? Yeah, now rethinking everything, it was like it all could have been better. Especially bring back Lori. The ending was just like she cut off the head and then that was it. So I'll probably give this one a 6 as well. I was about to give it a 7, but I don't know if that's too generous. And yeah, like a 6 is like, cause it's like very, cause I really like it. Cause they bring all the homage back, all the stuff back, but like the Michael wasn't so much there, but when he was there, it was good. So it's not like they didn't want to OD it because they probably felt like they were doing it in the past, so they didn't want to OD with his killings. But then again, that's is kind of what we want. You know what? 7. I'll give it a 7, and I'll stay with that. I'll own it. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna give y'all for now. I don't want to get too much into this because I'm about to go watch the next one. I forgot what it's called. Resurrection, I think. Because of course Michael always finds a way to come back, especially after being his head shut off. Resurrection makes sense how he comes back. We'll see how that happens. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I definitely did, especially seeing Jamie Lee Curtis come back and seeing her in future Halloween movies now. So, we lost Donald Pleasance, but we're getting Jamie Lee Curtis. So it's a shame we never got them back together again. So thank you for watching. Like the video. Follow me on IG if you want. High Level Nerd. 2 eyes, of course. Um, Always be good to one another out there. Share the love. And I will catch you next time for Halloween Resurrection. As always, stay frosty.